The Gambler by Fyodor Dostoevsky, retold by Catherine Sklerova. Chapter 11. I shouted in surprise. She made me a sign to be silent. "You're here," I said. "If I am here, please light a candle." I did so. She rose, approached the table, and laid it on an open letter. She handed it to me. "Read it," she said. I took the letter and looked at it attentively. It was the Greer's handwriting. My hands were shaking so much that the lines on the page moved before my eyes. So I read the following. "Mademoiselle, some certain circumstances forced me to depart at once. No doubt you have noticed yourself that I have avoided any final explanation to you. That is because I could not explain well the whole circumstances. The arrival of the old lady and her unprecedented behavior at the casino has been the final touch. The current state of my affairs forbids me to have any hopes concerning you. I regret the past. At the same time, I hope that in my behavior you have not detected anything that was unsuitable for a gentleman. I have lost almost the whole of my money in debts given to your stepfather, and now I must sell the rest of my property. I have asked my friends in St. Petersburg to sell all the property which had been mortgaged to myself. I hope that you still consider me as a man of honor. You can be certain that my memories of you will be forever in my heart." "All this is clear enough. Surely you did not expect anything else from him," I said. I expected nothing at all from him," she replied. "I've decided everything long ago, but I could read his thoughts and I knew what he was thinking. He thought that I was a good match for him. I never insisted on anything, so my scorn towards him doubled, and I waited to see what he would do. I have hated him for a long time. Even in the earlier days, he was not my match, and now I hate him." I was relieved to hear that. I did my best to hide my emotions on relief. "I see," I said. "Just as I thought. Well, what is the general going to do? What about the grandmother?" Paulina looked at me in astonishment. "Why do you speak of her?" she asked irritably. "I cannot go and live with her. I will never get down on my knees for anyone." "Why should you?" I cried. "The Greers is a villain. I can kill him in a duel if you order me to." "Where is he now?" She smiled. "In Frankfurt. You do not need to kill him. You talk nonsense." I looked at her seriously. "What about Mr. Astley?" I asked. She looked into my eyes angrily. "What? Do you wish me to leave you for him?" she cried scornfully. Then her head must have turned dizzy with emotion, because suddenly she seated herself on the sofa. Lightning seemed to strike me as I stood there. I could hardly believe my eyes and ears. She loved me, then. She came to me, not to Mr. Astley. She had come to my room in the hotel, and I stood there without understanding the truth. A crazy idea came to my mind. "Polina, give me 1 hour," I said. "Wait there for just 1 hour until I return." "Yes, you must do so. Do you understand what I mean? Just stay here." And I rushed from the room without answering her questions. She called out something to me, but I didn't hear. Sometimes it happens that the craziest idea will become so fixed in one's head that one believes that is real. Moreover, if a strong desire is combined with this idea, one will look at it as something inevitable, as something which must happen. Perhaps my strong will, persistence, and fantasy could strengthen this idea as well. This idea had come to my mind that night. It was a night which I will never forget. I still believed there had been a miracle. Well, the time was 11:15 when I entered the casino in such a state of my mind. I felt very different. There were still many players in the gaming rooms. At 11 o'clock there usually remained only the desperate players. For these persons there existed nothing beyond the roulette. These players took little notice of what was going on around them. They played from morning till night if possible. At midnight roulette was coming to an end. The croupiers asked the players to stake on the last 3 rounds. They did so excitedly. As for me, I went to the table at which the grandmother had sat recently. The crowd around it was not very large. I stood among the ring of gamblers. I took 10 gulden from my pocket and staked it on red. I won. I staked it on same again. Again, I won, and I had then 100 gulden. Then I moved my whole winning on 12 middle numbers. The wheel began to move and stopped at 24. I won. I was paid 2,000 gulden in gold. It was as if in a fever that I staked my winnings on the red. My whole life seemed to depend on that stake. "Red!" cried the croupier. I took a long breath and trembled. I was paid my winning in gold again. I had won 8,000 gulden. I could still calculate my winnings. After that, I remember, I again staked 2,000 gulden on 12 middle numbers. I lost. I staked again and lost. Then madness seemed to come over me, and I staked 2,000 gulden on the 12 of the first numbers. I did it at random. 4, cried the croupier. Once more I was in possession of 6,000 gulden. Once more I looked around me like a conqueror. Once more, I feared nothing when I staked 4,000 gulden on the black. The croupier looked at me in astonishment. The black turned up. After that, I remember either my stakes nor my calculations. I only remember that as if in a dream. I won in one round 16,000 gulden. Then 4 times in succession, I lost. I staked my money by thousands. I staked mostly on 12 and middle numbers, which kept appearing regularly. It was an astonishing irregularity. Not more than half an hour passed since my entry. Suddenly the croupiers informed that I had won 30,000 gulden, and that the roulette must close for the night. So I took my money, put it into my pockets, and moved to the table in another saloon where the second game of roulette was in progress. Some players followed me and cleared a place for me at the table. I continued to stake as before at random and without calculating. What saved me from ruin, I do not know. Of course, there were times when I tried to make some calculations. For example, there were times when I staked for a while on certain colors and numbers. Then I left them again without knowing what I was doing. My brow was damp with sweat and my hands were shaking. Also, Paul came up to me to help me in directing my game. I didn't need them. I sent them away angrily. My luck still didn't fail me. Suddenly I heard somebody cry, "Bravo, bravo." I had won another 30,000 and again the roulette had to close for the night. "Go away now, go away," a voice whispered to me on my right. It was a man who had been standing beside me for a while. "Yes, for God's sake, go," whispered the second voice on my left. It was a woman about 30 years old. Her face was pale. At that moment, I was collecting all the banknotes and gold that was left on the table. Yes, I had won once again. I put my winnings into my pocket and went to the table where cards were being played. There were more aristocratic people at that table. They played with cards instead of with a wheel. The highest stake allowable at that table was 4,000 gulden. Although I knew nothing about the game, I joined the players at once. At that time, I cannot remember whether I ever thought of Paulina. I seemed to be concentrated only on my stakes and my winnings. The luck was as at my side as ever. This kind of luck does not repeat itself in gaming for many rounds. It happens very rarely, and it is impossible to predict it. Yet some whim led me during the whole play. Also, I remember that there was a time when I became obsessed with the desire to take risks. All of a sudden, I heard exclamations arising at the table. The whole thing was a marvel to me. "This man has already won 100,000 francs," a voice said before me. I came to my senses. What? I had 100,000 francs? If so, what more did I need to win? I took the banknotes, put them into my pockets, raked in the gold without counting and started to leave the casino. As I passed through the saloons, people smiled at me jealously. I saw several hands stretch out to me, and as I passed I filled them with all the money that I could grasp with my hand. "You are a brave young man," said a Jew to me at the exit of the casino. "You must depart early tomorrow, as early as you can, or you will lose everything that you have won." But I didn't hear him. I cannot remember what I thought about on my way to the hotel. I only felt a fearful pleasure, the pleasure of success, of conquest, and of power. Presently there was the image of Paulina before me. I kept reminding myself that I was going to her. I wanted to tell her the story of my unbelievable luck and show her my winnings. I had been gone for 1 hour and a half. I was very excited. My hands were still shaking. Did anything matter at all to me? I do not remember my sensations at that moment, yet I knew that my life was about to begin again. Soon I saw the lights of the hotel at a distance. Yes, I had reached home. I ran up to my room and opened the door. Paulina was still on the sofa, with a lit candle in front of her. As I entered, she looked at me in astonishment. I stood before her and put my whole wealth on the table.